Hey guys, Jason Sensational here. If you guys are watching Legends of Runeterra videos on YouTube regularly, then you'll know I'm a little late to the party on this one. As it seems that pretty much every YouTuber I know has posted at least one video on Teemo Sejuani. And hopefully you're not tired of seeing this guy around, but this video should go a lot more depth into the others. And for those that who actually don't know much about the deck or don't really watch YouTube regularly, do I have a treat for you guys? So for the sadistic burn-loving players who want a slightly different alternate win condition by watching your opponent slowly crumble away to puff caps, this deck is for you. So, Teemo Sejuani isn't a new deck or archetype by any means. If you're familiar with the YouTuber slash streamer that goes by the name Control, he's been making decks on Teemo Sejuani for months now, and I'll link his channel in the description for you guys to check out if you guys want. But very importantly, Teemo Sejuani was missing something to really solidify its game plan, and this expansion gave it just that, which was Ballistic Bot. But before we get too much into the cards and the deck details themselves, let's just run over the deck list. And for those who are familiar with the deck before the expansion, you'll see that the main core of the deck hasn't changed much. You still see that you're running 3 copies of Teemo, Sejuani, Starlit Seer, Puffcat Peddler, Chump Bump, and you have cards like Elixir of Iron and Troll Chance as your main tools to keep your units alive. However, the curve is also a lot lower, cutting the slower cards such as Tusk Raider and Ursine Spirit Walker in favor of a higher spell density package with Hexcore Foundry. Now, the 4 new cards from the latest set in this deck are Hexcore Foundry, Ballistic Bot, 2 copies of Iterate Improvement, and 2 copies of Aftershock. Now, I played this deck solely to climb from Platinum to Diamond, and through that process, I achieved a 65.5% win rate over 84 games, so definitely nothing to scoff at. So now let's talk about win conditions. The way this deck plays out, it very much resembles a burn deck, I would say, but with a slightly slower payoff. While burn decks may aim to win around turns 6 or 7, this deck may see an exponential increase in damage output through turns 8 and 10 because the shrooms that you put into your opponent's deck have a delayed effect in dealing damage. Now, but by around turn 5 or 6, you may have a leveled Teemo striking the opponent to add 40, 30 odd shrooms into their deck. And then, as soon as that happens, your opponent would be on a very tight schedule before they eventually draw and die to the shrooms. We have supporting the Teemo are cards such as Puffcat Peddler and Chump Bump to really add more shrooms into the deck. But most importantly, we have Ballistic Bot. Ballistic Bot is a dream card that this deck needed. It acts as a reliable proc every turn towards Sejuani's level up. It deals 1 damage to the opponent's Nexus. That we have that's 1 less damage we have to deal with puff caps in the future. And it also generates a really cheap spell that can be abused with Starlit Seer and Puffcap Peddler for shrooms and buff. In terms of other direct damage, the addition of the card Aftershock, which is a really important card in this meta to deal with landmarks such as Garen Plazas, but it also adds additional reach to our deck. Originally, we had 3x Mystic Shots, but now with the addition of 2 more Aftershocks, that represents 6 more damage that could go towards the enemy Nexus, which sometimes is even better than using it to remove a landmark. Because Teemo Sejuani is slightly slower than the fastest aggro or burn decks, it needs something to support it past those key turns 6 and 7, which Sejuani is the perfect tool to do so. Once Sejuani levels up, she provides board freezes turn after turn to shut out your opponent's board, and this opens you up to taking some wide open attacks, which the opponent has to block unfavorably with their zero attack minions. And this, in combination with the board freezes on your opponent's attack turns, this can really stall out your opponent from progressing forward with damage and allows you to it gives you a couple more turns for your opponent to draw into more cards, meaning more puff caps. um, with the addition of Ballistic Bot, it is very easy to consistently level up Sejuani on curve. So by the time you play Sejuani on 6, you can have an instant board wipe on that turn, and then that allows you that extra time to really shut out the game. And even if the opponent doesn't draw a shroom on that turn to proc Sejuani's skill, you still have Ignition from Ballistic Bot, Mystic Shots, and Aftershocks to trigger the ability. And so each turn that you're playing, make sure that you get in some chip damage, whether that be from an attack, Ignition, or a Puff Cap to get Sejuani's level up as soon as possible. Now, this deck has a very straightforward game plan that can be executed relatively consistently. The curve is structured around abusing Ballistic Bot to its fullest in order to start generating ignitions for your Starlit Seer and Puffcap Peddler. You'll notice that your curve is 1 mana slower, so to speak, playing your 2-drop on turn 3 and your 3-drop on turn 4, and that is to give you mana to your ignition shot. Uh, because this deck can perform so consistently, I've constructed what I think to be a relatively ideal curve. On turn 1, you'll have Teemo. On turn 2, you'll play Ballistic Bot as soon as possible. And then following turns 3 and 4, you'll play Starlit Seer in conjunction to Ignition. And on turn 6, you'll jam down your Sejuani. From turn 7 and on, it's a little bit more variable, and it doesn't matter as much as what you do as long as you have a leveled up Sejuani on board. So then after turn 7, you can start playing your Hex Core Foundries to help your opponent draw more shrooms each turn, or you can also play your Chump Wumps to get your Mushroom Clouds to put more mushrooms into your opponent's deck as well. The goal is to fill your opponent's deck with shrooms and just make them draw them as fast as they can, while also protecting your Sejuani so that it remains your board stalls each turn. You'll notice that the curve for the first 6 turns spares 0 extra mana. In some cases where you don't play Teemo on turn 1, you can play your Puffcat Peddler 1 turn earlier, because the 1 mana you didn't spend on turn 1 is now banked as spell mana, which you can play, so you can play your Puffcat Peddler 1 turn earlier. Um, if you get the proc for Sejuani on a certain turn without having to use Ignition, so whether that be on an attack turn or if your opponent draws into a Shroom, then you can also save the 1 mana that you would have used to play Ignition that turn and bank it for spell mana for another turn that's more important. And it is sometimes right to save this 1 mana to be used elsewhere, because 1 damage from Ignition Shot at this point of the game really is meant only to level up Sejuani rather than to focus on burn damage currently. And another really key difference between burn decks and Teemo Sejuani is that while burn decks are pretty happy trading off their minions early on, because at the end game they're just chucking burn at your opponent's nexus, this deck really relies on your units, and they're so key to the game plan. You very commonly have board states where Teemo, Ballistic Bot, Starlit Seer, and Puffcap Peddler are all on board, generating you value and damage every turn. If one of these units were to die, then sometimes your game plan can really fall apart. So when playing against decks that have ways to interact or remove your side of the board, you may have to deviate a little bit from the ideal curve and use mana to protect your minions instead. You should really, really, really not let your units carelessly die without having another copy of them in your hand, especially Ballistic Bot. To prevent that from happening, we do run really cheap options like Elixir of Iron and Troll Chant, and even an iterative improvement, which can help to protect or clone your units. And protecting your units might even have priority over proccing Sejuani's level up, because it's that important. Now, this deck does surprisingly well on ladder. It has many favorables across what I think to be the majority of the popular decks running around right now, such as Go Hard, Grand Plaza, and Field of Rush. In my games climbing to Diamond, I went 7-1 against Go Hard decks, 17-9 against any Grand Plaza decks, which were mainly Lucian Hecarim, Ephemerals, and Garen Asol. I don't think I ran into any Scouts Plaza, so I don't exactly know the matchup there, but hopefully I'd assume it's something similar. So if you're facing any of these decks often on ladder, then I would definitely suggest giving this deck a go. And finally, I do have 3 games that I have recorded to show you guys, just so that you guys can see how the deck performs in a little bit different situations and what happens when you don't necessarily draw into your perfect curve. I am trying something a little bit different with these games that I have showcased, in that I do have some live commentary from them for when I recorded them. So this is the last that you'll see me, and I'll pass it off to my former self. I hope that you all enjoyed the guide and the video, and please give it a like and a subscribe if you did, and I'll catch you guys next time. Oh, this is probably another Grand Plaza deck with sunbursts, but this is a lot slower, so we do have time to develop. This is actually a matchup where I could consider keeping Hexcore, because there's a chance that he mills cards, and this card looks fine. Having a spell for the Puffcat Peddler would have been nice, but Elixir is really good too. I think we always attack here first instead of developing the Omen Hawk, simply because you can have like a 1-drop into single combat. And I can't stop that. Looks like he has neither. Actually kind of interesting what I want to play out here. Omen Hawk does the same thing Starlight Seer, but a turn earlier, and you don't have spells to capitalize on the hand. Banking 1 spell mana could be important to use Elixir of Iron. Sejuani, such a good draw. He open attacks here, which I'm really happy to see. And I just developed Puffcat Peddler here. We don't want to play Hexcore too early. It does have the Plaza here, unfortunately. Our Teemo is probably on a very limited shelf life here. This blocker is always important. Might have like a single combat here, but I always have the Elixir of Iron. He would have like sharp sight single combat, which then I would just protect the Peddler. Drawing curve is just so important because you can really level up fast in this deck, especially with the new ballistic bot. There's a Pale. Does he have the single combat? Interesting. I do have to protect this. He's not showing a single combat though, and if he single combats then this dies, so not the end of the world. It's just unfortunate that I didn't get to play my Seer. They don't have the single combat as well. Alright. Can't really do anything about that. And now with 8 Puffcats in his hand, I think I do have to play the Hex Core here, because it's so important that he draws a Puffcat next turn and every turn, and I'm running a little bit low on cards myself. Another Teemo's really good. And there's the Puffcat, that's so important. And with a Mystic Shot in hand, we can proc next turn guaranteed as well. But that's that. I'm just gonna let him do his attack and then play out my cards. I don't think there's a reason to use this Mystic Shot here. Mystic shot for 3 shrooms? Probably not worth. And if he wants to take this tap or something. I could pass as well, which is pretty bad for our part, I think. Wow. That could change up our plans. I think I just want to guarantee that he draws a puff cap next turn as well, so I can play chump bump into seer into double caps. And this prevents him from like I could actually slow play this. Let's see if he wants to develop any further. Because I could be able to sneak in a Teemo this turn, but now I lose a buff from the seer. I think the buff from the seer is actually not that important at this point. He's so close. Let's see if I can bait him. Doesn't look like it. But if he has to expend resources this turn to kill Teemo, then I'm pretty happy. So we'll just do this then. And he has to use a sharp sight or a single combat in order to stop this. And if he doesn't stop this, I think I have a pretty good chance of winning. That's huge. Especially with the Hex core on board. The only other issue is making sure that Sejuani lives. Which I just drew 2 of the best cards for that. Garen. I definitely don't want Garen challenging my stuff. And I think it's clear that he doesn't have a single combat in hand. So I just play the Sejuani here. What's really cool is that this Hex Core, it'll draw a card. If there's a puff cap, it levels Sejuani and draws the second card, and there's a puff cap, it freezes the entire board. And of course, I have a Mystic Shot in order to enable that as well. Wow, we just passed. That's so good for me. Double Mystic Shot too. Wow. That's a letdown. Alright. So we're gonna do this. This is a really strange attack, but it's gonna bait some remove. Let's just do this. Let's be safe. This is gonna bait some removal, in which case I just double Mystic Shot his space and get the board freeze. And then he'd have to spend twice the resources. Oh. Well. That's fine. I still need a Mystic Shot his face regardless to get the Sejuani level up. Saving the Teemo here does little. Because Sejuani is the most important thing at this point. So I'll just take the level up here. And it's almost guaranteed that he draws a puff cap the following turn. It's just so unfortunate that he didn't draw it this turn. I'm not super scared of what he could draw, but if I just want to guarantee Sejuani's safety, I'll just aftershock his Plaza. But I also do have, this represents 5 damage to face, and with the puff caps, he's on a really heavy time schedule. Now, even his board is full, so he could still be representing a single combat here, but I do have the tools to stop that. He can't single combat me, because I'll just freeze his board. So he does have to pass here. And if he wants to killing the Garen Plaza here could be good, but I don't think it's necessary. And we'll get a second Sejuani anyway. And he... Oh! Did that... No, he just didn't draw a puff cap. Wow. That is just so weird. Alright, well he plays this. We actually have to play this safe in case he does have this single combat, so we'll aftershock his face first, and then we Mystic if we need to. Alright. So now he can't do anything. What we're actually going to do is guarantee that he starts dying with these puff caps. So we just fill up his deck. He still doesn't draw a puff cap. This is kind of rigged. I'm pretty sure he draws puff caps regardless of whether his hand's full or not. Yeah. So we don't actually do anything. We even play a second hex core to ensure that he dies a little faster. So let's just do that. And I have tools to make sure that my Sejuani survives, or I play second Sejuani out. And at this point, he's just be drawing puff caps and dying. Aurelian Soul. Cute. It's actually really funny because the Sejuani also denies Aurelian Soul its level up. Because Aurelian Soul checks this power status before Frostbites wear off. And he's dead. Well, this deck does actually run healing, so there's no point in rushing it. We're not worried about decking out. And if he drops under 5 mana for like star shaping, then we just kill him. Oh, so he starts with a star shaping. He doesn't have mana for an obliterate, so I don't have anything to worry about here. I don't really care if I mill my cards either. He had 2 star shaping. That's kind of a problem. I do want to find more puff caps to ensure that I can kill him. So I'm just gonna take this rummage. I can actually kill some stuff here, but I'm gonna throw away. My hand doesn't protect my Sejuani or count as burn. I think this is more suitable as burn than anything else. The third Hex Core Foundry is just pretty funny. And I think it's actually the right play here. So let's just be a little efficient with our mana and spend some of our cards. I think it's pretty clear that he has no way of killing my Sejuani. And I do have a second Sejuani in ways to protect it. And I could just kill this Garen while I'm at it if I really wanted to. But I think banking 3 spell mana is fine. Ballistic Bot's 1 extra damage. Third Sejuani. Oh, is he dead? Wow. Hex Core Foundry, guys. A lot of ephemerals running on ladder, at least. Quite interesting. See a lot more Hectors. Maybe that's just that lower rank. No, the stick bot. That's pretty nut. This is a pretty good hand. The only issue is Zed coming down. We don't really have a way to stop it. This could be a situation where he could race Zed. He's likely to not have very many ways to interact with our side of the board. It's possible he could be running cards like Vile Feast, but I'm not going to exclude it from the realm of possibilities. I'm playing Dualistic Bot no matter what here. There's nothing that's slow speed that punishes me that wouldn't be at fast speed. There could be like a Mark of the Isles, which I would rather keep my Ballistic Bot. And we get the Ignition, which is the most important part, which we can also start to buff our our Ballistic Bot. And if he drops Zed here, we do have the Mystic Shot. Knight doesn't have Zed, which is really good. I'm assuming he has like a Shark Chariot. Next turn, I can actually go Chump Bump into Double Puff Cap into level Teemo. Interesting that he chooses Fading Memories here. Those don't even. I'm gonna save my 2 mana to level up Teemo. Is what I think is the right play. Alright, never mind. Unfortunately, this does buff the Bark Beast, but you know, we can't be too mad about that. That was a pretty funny play from our opponent's end. The only unfortunate part is we can't, you know, get the level up on Teemo to really punish him. We don't have to play Ignition this turn. It's just a question of if we want to play Hex Core Foundry, which I don't think we do. At this point, his cards are running quite low, but so is ours, I suppose. Wow, we drew this. Dark Water Scourge. Interesting. This could be representing another, the thing. His hand's looking really dead, so I do want to play Hexcore here. I think at this point, it's more favorable if we draw multiple cards than him. It's really interesting. I think we're just going to use Troll Chant here to get some favorable trades out. Wow, this is a lot of damage, actually. We'll see what we can do. It's important to note that these become 3/3s. We can't actually kill any of them. So we can Puff Cap into, so we can Puff Cap to buff this, and then Iron. I'm not really scared if I don't die here, so even 2 health should be fine. We can do something like this. We can even trade the block here to be at 1. And being at 20 health is also the unfortunate part, because if we don't draw Sejuani, he's going to draw Heckram. We actually might want to save this Mushroom Cloud for Disrummage. Wow, we're actually dead if he has Heckram here. So this is just a Heckram check. If he doesn't play Heckram here, then he doesn't have it. I need to pass initiative over to him. That's not even buffed. So we can survive. But we still need to draw Sejuani. So I'm just gonna play out my minions here. He hasn't played any Shark Chariots, which is the really important thing in this matchup so far. And I will take this rummage here. Because we have Troll Chant, we survive this attack, and there's our Sejuani. So if he tries to develop, he gets punished. Because then I have Sejuani into Mystic Shot. So it's really important that he has to open attack here, and if he open attacks, he can't kill me. Wow. So it looks like he's not open attacking, which makes me a very happy bunny. Wow. The only thing we have to be scared of here is another death mark. And even if he attacks here, I don't lose. So we're gonna wait until he plays a second card here. Yeah. Now he doesn't have mana death mark, which makes this a very safe play. And now I just Mystic Shot and wipe his entire board. And he's pretty forced to attack here. I don't want to freeze his board because then he won't attack. And it's really important that I kill Hecarim here. So I just do something like this. And I mean, you can't do anything about it. Except if he has a Mark of the Isles, which I lose either way, unfortunately. Is there any way to survive this if he has a Mark? No. So I don't bother blocking. If he has a Mark, he has a Mark. He doesn't, then I'm just in a really good situation here. And so this is kind of like a late game state of the board that you might have with this deck. Especially against decks that have a really hard time of interacting with your side of the board. Ooh. Dude, this is so fun. There's so many new decks running around. I love it. Mystic Shot's really good against Katarina, huh? No Teemo, which is kind of unfortunate, but I can't expect if I'm just mulling one card. This mana's a little awkward. The mana curve with this deck's always a little awkward, because if you float one mana the first turn, it's unlikely that you'll have. I don't think killing Lucian here is that big of an issue. But if he plays a Senna next turn, or if he has like a Ranger's Resolve, I think I'll just take this Thermo Beam here. The only way I lose is if he gets one of his champions to level up, then I get rallied out. Troll Chant's a really good card. Interesting, he just commits to Katarina here. I really can't stop the Katarina from striking ever. Troll Chant only. Maybe if I had a second Troll Chant. Ooh, I could have struck there. I missed an attack, which is kind of stupid on my part. Let's see if he has some 0 mana spell to use. I'm probably not gonna, if he attacks, I'm not gonna block. to play around like there could be some really strange cards. Oh, but now that he has the Grizzled, he has no way to protect his Katarina, so I can safely develop this Starlight Seer here. We're taking 6 damage from this Grizzled, which is unfortunate. I'll just take this here. There's no point waiting. And hopefully we'll draw something that allows us to at least chump out this Grizzled with some bigger stat lines. Our progression though on Sejuani is just terrible. That's really fortunate for me. It means I don't have to really sack any of my units here, so I'll just play out Chump Bump and Omen Hawk. Wow, he has another. Yikes. Okay. This Omen Hawk makes me feel a little bit better. Good thing is that he's very unlikely to have anything to kill Sejuani in this deck. And a Teemo draw here is really good. We have to eventually kill these. I could take a Troll Chain here, but then I can't play Sejuani. I don't really need to play Sejuani here, and I can just develop like Teemo and Puff Caps, maybe. I'll take this and play some Puff Cap. And then I can Troll Chain if he has like a combat trick afterwards. I think I'll just take this 2 value for now. Especially because I don't really know what's in his deck. Let's just play it safe. He's definitely the more of the aggressor in this matchup. Oh, 1 out of 5. Ugh. See what he does. It just straight up attacks, and I'm really happy about it. House Spider. I'm not too mad about that. We'll keep waiting. What the fuck? Now I feel pretty bad. Shit. That's... Wow. That's that. I could play Teemo Troll Chant instead. That could be good. Next turn I'm playing Sejuani for sure. So, and I will have mana to play Teemo. So let's just play Chump Bump here. And our goal is just to minimize as much damage here as we can. I'm not really scared. This deck probably doesn't run like Captain Farron. I think these 2 blocks is ultimately fine, I guess. We'll have 7 mana. I'll play the Teemo first in case this baits out like that's pretty good. Well, let's see. If he has like a single combat, then I'd still rather play Sejuani first. We'll do this. And then we'll play Teemo out after. Ballistic buff a little late here, unfortunately. Holy shit. Well, I'm glad he can't do anything about this card. So this is good. Now we're gonna get Sejuani leveling up much faster. And we can take this value bump. Never mind. Oh my god, that is... Ooh, that is really rough. Wow. Wow. I'm pretty much reliant on him drawing a Puff Cap each turn from now. Or at least I need to really value this turn, which I don't get. Ooh. I don't have too many turns left. I have 3 turns. That's questionable at best. This guy's not gonna be very useful anymore. I do want to play these out, so I can just spend all my mana here. Sure. That's kind of a strange attack. Maybe he has like something. I really don't know if he's running like missed single combats or anything like that, but actually we should just do this, huh? This opens up to another sharp sight, but I do have this troll chant. Wow. Okay. Well, no, he doesn't have anything. Although, I'm just one turn off. Missing the puff cap this turn really hurt. Now I don't really have the health to tank this. Alright. That was really sad. I'm just one turn off. 3, he attacks on 4. Only has 3 cards, which is the only upside here. I have blockers all the way down. This 5 health actually does so much to tank this Battering Ram. And the solution can't do much because it's not leveling at this point. You can't really kill off 4 things. Or 5 things, rather. So this is actually okay. If he doesn't kill me this turn, then I think I have a good chance of winning. This actually gives me a Battering Ram, which could really tank some damage. Which I'm actually going to do, because 12 health is 12 health. God, that's so funny. Iterative Improvement, guys. What a card. So interesting. And this just soaks up all damage they could ever possibly have. And I level Sejuani on the next turn. The only unfortunate thing is I'm 1 ignition off of killing this Battering Ram. But at this point, I don't think it really matters that much anymore. Most likely guaranteed to get the Sejuani level up next turn, so I'll just save a Ballistic bot around just in case. I make sure I kill this while soaking as much health as I can. And I'm just going to take the value trade here to soak up some more damage. This is fine. I'm only taking 5 damage. And he can't kill me from this point on, I don't think. He could get like some rallies off of Lucian. But seeing 2 Battering Rams... Oh, you're kidding. Wow. It's a good thing I had 2 what are these called? Ignition bots. So the second one acts as like a board freeze. So if he doesn't have like a single combat here, I think he's in a really bad spot, and he doesn't. So this is really good actually. And I'm not worried if his Lucian levels up this turn because his rally does nothing. And his board will always be freeze from here on out now. So I see no point in holding back. Wow, he just gives up his Lucian? That's kind of weird. I think he should have stayed his Lucian. Which he's having second thoughts about. Okay. Lucian leveling up here doesn't really matter. He doesn't get the rally this turn. Although it is kind of funny, because the Battering Rams don't really care about being frozen, huh? So as long as I kill this Battering Ram, I'm... What? Alright, that's a little bullshit. Wow. Well, the Battering Ram dies, I freeze his board. Yeah. This deck, man.